Good evening, folks, and welcome to the Crypto Dark Pod, presented by Blockchain Solidarity Media. We're a team of crypto sleuths ready to dive into these thick crypto weeds. We are not afraid to expose the darkness and deceptions that run rampant in crypto. From government and corporate tyranny to the scammy scammers and celebrity influencers, the Crypto Dark Pod team is more than ready to explore all the systematic and psychological tactics, the tricks and misdirection deployed on this new blockchain technology that makes prey of everyday people on the regular. We must be informed and vigilant. Together, we can learn to defend ourselves from these scamming hijackers, which is why we at the Crypto Dark Pod invite you to join us on our exploration into the dark sides of the blockchain. Go get your flashlight.
Welcome back to Crypto Dark Pod, everyone. We're back again with some interesting guests again. Again, joined by my lovely co-host, Pudding. How are you?
Very, very good. How are you doing? It feels like it's been forever.
It's been forever, yeah. I can't remember the last episode, but it's been forever. Neither can you, obviously. But it's good to get back again with you, man. And we're lucky to have some fantastic guests on today, folks. We were planning to initially have them on separate episodes, but some scheduling changes meant we just thought we'd bring them together, and it's glorious because these are two really fascinating people in the crypto world. Let's start off with Polarpunklabs. You might know him on Twitter, also known as Dr. Paul Dylan Ennis. He's a university professor from Dublin, but Polarpunklabs, as you'll know him on Twitter, fascinating account to follow. Just has just about an interesting take on anything you can imagine in the crypto space. We've been following him across our pods for a while and wanting to get him on either on this pod and or Blockchain Solidarity for a while. I'd imagine we'll have him on that other one soon as well, because it's just really interesting takes. Paul, I don't know where you get them from, but just really interesting stuff. And Bennett Tomlin, this is a really interesting one for us, Bennett, because I don't think me and Pudding were that deep into the crypto world compared to our former co-host, Luke. And when Luke was joining us in the early episodes, he was like, guys, we need to get Crypto Critics Corner on. Bennett Tomlin, I've been following those guys for 10 years. And his Australian accent, he was like, g'day, mate, we need to get these guys on. And Bennett, let's start off with you with this one, because I'd seen that you had recently tweeted about Gary V. Was it VCon or something? His some sort of like conference or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I wonder what you thought about Gary, any specific issues around him you want to bring out for our audience, to put it straight on him, and maybe just your wider views on the likes of Logan Paul, these other crypto sort of influencers who have such a big impact and such a negative impact, it seems.
Yeah, so I was recently tweeting about Gary V because back in March, I made a video on my personal YouTube channel taking a look at Gary V and VCon, because for VCon, his annual convention, every single team for the convention is staffed by volunteers. And if you're willing to volunteer for VCon, you get a free t-shirt, right? And so I was talking about him in the context of Gary V spreads this message that if you work hard enough, you are guaranteed success. If you have failed, it is your own fault for not working hard enough. And so in doing that, he creates an audience that is more easily exploited by things like, come here, work for me for free. I'll give you a t-shirt and you'll maybe meet someone and that'll be valuable. More specifically, in terms of cryptocurrency, I think when Gary V did, not VFriends, the one that was integrated with his book, where if you bought 12 copies of his book, you would get this NFT.
God.
Yeah, and that project was none of those NFTs ended up having any kind of real value. The most expensive one when I checked a while ago was $90 or something. And the most had zero interest. The floor was basically zero. And it felt like a really cheap marketing tactic to try to be you'll get this thing and then trying and if you buy enough of my book. If you get me on the New York Times bestseller list,
Oh,
I'll give you
cringe.
a picture on the blockchain. But I think the more important thing with Gary Vee, and I think this will lead us into some of the discussion of other influencers, is there's a somewhat notorious episode of Impulsive, Logan Paul's podcast, where he has on Jimmy Donaldson, Mr. Beast, and they're talking about NFTs. More specifically, they're talking about how they got a call from Gary Vee, and that was when they all decided to go out and purchase their Bored Apes. They were talking about it, how excited they were about NFTs, how cool it was that Gary Vee offered them this opportunity, how many other billionaires were a part of this. And then during it, I think it's Logan Paul asks Mr. Beast, Jimmy Donaldson, so what's your favorite ape? And Jimmy goes, after talking about like how excited he was about NFTs and stuff, oh, I sold them all already. Right. And then further on, they keep talking. Wow. And they go like, and they say that after they had this positive experience with Gary Vee recommending them their apes, as soon as they got the call from Gary Vee that he was launching VeeFriends, they all went out and bought it and all started promoting it. And they were all talking on this podcast, which gets thousands and thousands of downloads, about how important and special this is. And then you have many of these same individuals, Logan Paul, trying to launch their own cryptocurrency projects and just failing repeatedly. We can talk about whether those were intentional scams or just the general competence level of the Paul brothers, but these are individuals who are clearly only here to extract as much as they can from the other participants in the ecosystem. They don't care about censorship resistance. They don't care about creating meaningful financial improvements. This is all about them finding a new thing they can sell to their fans.
Oh, I totally agree. I'm Pudding. We've talked about this guy endlessly before, haven't we, Pudding?
The end of that was great. Was Logan Paul is like, he actually asks the question. And he's just like, what if all of this is happening just because of Gary Vee? It's like such a crazy moment. It's like, duh. Yeah, fuck yeah. He made multiple shit pump, he was like his own V, and they're all out of it by the time the people holding the bags, these guys are bought, purchased, spread the word, and they've sold. Yeah, okay. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, what I'm leading into Paul here, Paul, we've been covering this guy Logan Paul on and off on many of our pods for a while, and one of the more striking things that we covered him about was on this Crypto Zoo thing when there was this documentary that CoffeeZilla did, and there was a part of the documentary that CoffeeZilla did where he sort of broadcast or showed Logan Paul's text messages. And essentially the point was his manager or friend who had got out of this Crypto Zoo thing said, Logan, you're not that guy that does this to his fans. And Logan had replied, I am that guy. So is there any more revealing moment than I am that guy that will screw over my friends? I mean, there it was. Paul, what do you think about this guy, this Gary Vee guy, all these influencers? Is there, not the pull Pudding's point again, is there anything positive? But so many people follow these people. What to do about them? What do you think about these influencers?
Yeah, I'm kind of fascinated by them a little bit. I also tweeted recently about VeeCon, but in a different way, where I just pointed out that it just came up my For You on Twitter. And I just posted that you forget that there's this entirely different crypto world outside of, let's say, the more, the Ethereum, Bitcoin type discussion. And then just beyond that, there's a Gary Vee type universe of NFT grifters and influencers, And the way I like to talk about this group of people is decontextualize crypto. So there's crypto, which is, sort of immersed in principles and values, usually in the sense of people want to, they have these principles, but all goes askew and we're all trying to fix it. And it's just ongoing story and narrative. And then there's this entirely different thing where, it's just another part of hustle culture. So it might as well be someone selling Supreme sneakers on eBay or something, except now it's NFTs. It's part of the hustle. It's part of the grift. And broadly speaking, the term I used for this in an article a few years ago was the trash moat. So the trash moat is, we're all in this, castle where we're, basically, talking about these, Eigenlayer and Arbitrum and all the, how to be a delegate, these big idea crypto things. And then just around, like all around the castle, just beyond their vision is like just this absolutely, trashy, like low quality world of, VCon, and Logan Paul definitely. So like, I'm a fan of YouTube commentary. I'm interested in it in general. And there's like a lot of bro content there, a lot of content that's just very, it's just bro-ish. And it was almost inevitable that they would run into meme coins and NFTs. You know, they were a match made in heaven. Like someone like Aiden Ross is a good example. He's the guy, MILF token. And, you know, on his stream, he pitched it to his fans. And then about, 2 weeks later, he says, I hope you guys didn't buy it. I just only did it for the bag. And in a way, that's like a wink and a nod to his fans where everybody knowingly knows it's like trash. It's part of the world. It's part of the culture. Same with Logan Paul with Dinkdoink, which is my favorite name for any crypto. FaZe Clan Save the Kids, like, which is just the most ridiculous thing. And even like, another one I also kind of like to, remind people of was the Squid Game one where the BBC covered it.
We covered that. Yep.
Crypto all over because the BBC is like taking it at face value and, kind of treating it as if it's like a kind of legitimate project. And my theory, my conspiracy theory here is that there is probably some old, like sophisticated scam artists who've been around for a while, probably made money in different like historical, grifts. And I think what they do is they target the orbiters around the influencers and then work their way up. And they've sort of compounded scam games over the year. And now they're targeting what they see is like in a way to them, the marks are the influencers. Like if they can convince the influencers to take on their project, then like that's like their victory. And then it doesn't even really matter to them whether, like what happens to everybody else. So yeah, it's just, it's the funnel, I guess, is the problem. It's like, how do we address this? Kemp Milwaukee calls it the regen-degen funnel. I would say YouTube bros are the degen funnel.
Pudding, I don't know. If
so often they're
go ahead. Yeah. Go ahead.
I was going to say, so often they're actually giving the NFT to the influencer. So the influencer is not like going through the process of figuring out how to purchase it. They're being basically given it, and then they can like say they had it, right? I get a kick out of the new, kind of going into this weird place, the Gary V one that is like the fly fishing NFT. That's like a fancy New York restaurant, and you have to have the NFT. So you have to pay like thousands of dollars for the NFT to be able to go in and still pay for your meal. But without the NFT, you can't get into the exclusive restaurant.
Yeah, and just on this, like to show you how bad it gets, there's like a clip of Aiden Ross trying to buy MILF token, like on video, and he's on Uniswap, and he's being guided by, like the MILF token team, and he can't figure out what's going on. Stop. BitBoy as well, right? Like BitBoy, 2 weeks ago didn't know how to use Uniswap, and now he's launching, like a DEX.
Well, and I think the point about kind of like working through the circle up to the influencer kind of matches with like, whenever these guys participate in these bullshit projects, they end up using that type of defense. Like Logan Paul's defense when it came to CryptoZoo was, no, I'm not a scammer. I was the victim here.
Yeah.
I hired this person who I thought was an expert who knew how to run this project. And it turns out they didn't know that. And so that was the real problem here.
Yeah.
So sorry.
It's the pass the buck, the whoops. Here's the question then that I have, that maybe this is all, coming back to in a way. Like, what do you guys think? Collectively, like these guys, let's just take Logan Paul, because I don't know Gary V and how much he's done, or Logan Paul just seems to roll into one scam after the other. It's like that old adage, he falls up, he never it just seems he moves on unbruised, maybe bruised for a couple of weeks, but he'll be back with the next scam. So my question is, how is it possible? Is it just these guys are just too big to fail? Too big, to use another phrase? How is it that they keep smashing the lives of everybody out there? The little guy everywhere, over and over and over again, and yet they come back again, not even to live another day, to scam another day. How is it possible, Paul?
I think it's because the consequences of crypto investigations don't tend to come around for a few years. So right now it may seem like they're getting away with it, and that emboldens them, and they kind of keep at it. So, you know, there isn't any kind of feeling that it's, you know, it doesn't feel real to them, I think, is a big part of it. You know, it is crypto, it's digital, it's a bit obscure, you know, to everybody outside of their channel. And then also, yeah, that there's no consequences. But typically what you see, let's say Silk Road's a good example, there's still cases that are only happening now, you know, where chain analysis of people are identifying, you know, various different early hackers of Silk Road from 2012, or one of the lieutenants of Silk Road is currently on trial, like just now in 2023, 10 years later. So you do see this, like even the Bitfinex hack, you know, like it takes a little while for people like investigations to really latch onto these people. So I do think that eventually this will come back on them. It's just that for now, it doesn't feel real.
What do you think, Bennett? Do you think like you know the legal system will come around and smash these guys? Number one, but number two, I guess, why even reputationally aren't these guys falling flat in their face? Why are they always falling even higher?
I think that, yeah, so like legally there are certain things progressing, right? Logan Paul's brother Jake had to recently settle with the SEC over allegations that he promoted Tron without disclosure, right? Got paid to promote it, but didn't disclose that he was paid. And so there are sometimes things that come for that. We saw certain like BitConnect promoters actually get charged criminally, and that does take a while. Broadly, I think that our society, our culture, at least here in the United States, I know you folks aren't here, but is generally poorly set up to really punish white collar criminals, because these things seem so abstract and different and like separate from what most people think of as criminality. It doesn't really register for a lot of people. And then for individuals like the Paul brothers have specifically kind of thrived on controversy over the course of their careers, right? We're talking about Logan Paul, who, like, when he was back doing his daily vlogs project, ended up having to put that project on hiatus because he recorded the infamous video in the forest in Japan. Yeah, where there was someone who had died by suicide, and like he was jovial and stuff during the video. And so like what's most important for Logan Paul, Jake Paul, whatever, is to keep their name somewhat relevant, and controversy allows them to still do that without it ever like meaningfully affecting their audience at this point. I don't think there's anyone who's like currently a fan of Logan Paul or Jake Paul who thinks they're like, well, actually, there probably is, just thinking about their fan base. But I don't think most people think they're like beyond reproach. And I think even most people who choose to consume Paul brother content and stuff like that probably know at least at some level that these people are very much flawed and have done things in the past where they have like taken advantage of people and done things like that. So their current audience is already folks who are willing to tolerate that.
Yeah, it's the, you know, it's just the friendly idiot next door effect. You know, I feel like these guys, they're, you know, a handsome boy who's kind of funny. He gets away with that. It's easier to sort of like let it go. Maybe, you know, influenced also by like the say anything Trump reality. You get this mix where we just accept that our I don't know, the people that we're fans of are failures too. So, big deal. Yeah. I hear that.
Yeah, it has a bit of that. You're right. That's sort of like, oopsie doosies, I didn't realize. The sort of almost the Boris, you guys maybe won't know, but Paul, this all makes sense to you. Like the Boris Johnson effect, where he kind of sort of ruffles his big, you know, blonde bush of hair, and you know, he's the former Prime Minister of the UK for you guys who maybe don't know who he is. And, you know, he rose to power basically on bluffing about London with his trousers pulled up too far and his shirt tucked out, and he would ruffle his big blonde bush of hair. Meanwhile, he'd just be corrupt as hell. And he'd get away with it. The public would love him because he was a clown figure. So maybe there's that. Not saying Logan Paul is necessarily that, but maybe it's just, you know, the wavy blonde, good looks hair and the, I don't know. Maybe you're onto something, but there's many layers to it.
Well, I guess we can like hope or focus that, or, you know, that maybe, you know, there's this big court case against a lot of influencers, that maybe there's some sort of like checking mechanism that has to happen so that people can't do this quite as freely. That's maybe perhaps what we could hope. I wouldn't necessarily count on it.
Fingers crossed, my friend. That's fingers crossed. The first one we want to discuss is we were going to do an episode like this on our own, Pudding, weren't we, on meme coins? Let's go to you, Pudding, because you haven't,
Yep.
You're at the sidelines there, and for the moment. Let's start off with PEPEcoin. What do you think of this PEPEcoin, this whole meme coins craze? What's your take on it? Why do you think it's important to have our guests on to talk about this? To, sort of that's diverting so much energy and attention away from the good stuff in crypto, and then we'll shoot it to the guys.
Yeah, well, I definitely, for me, when I look at meme coins, I ask the obvious question, and I would be very interested to hear their opinions of, are meme coins good for the ecosystem? As it, to me, seems like it's very much money-driven craze. It's like the peak of gambling. If crypto was gambling, meme coins are the embodiment of that. And so then this debate of whether or not it's a good thing for the system, or are these people chasing games creating a buzz that are bringing more people to the ecosystem? These are the debates that are out there. But I would never touch Pepe with a 10-foot pole personally, but more power to the people that want it.
Yeah, let's throw it to Polarpunklabs first. Paul, what do you think about that? How do you see this whole craze?
So I think meme coins are basically the oldest game in town. So if you go all the way back to Bitcoin talk era, that's essentially what people were doing around 2012. So you would just take Litecoin, you would fork it on GitHub, you would change some parameters. So now there's 84 million units as opposed to 21 million units. You would do an announcement and then maybe like a low effort website and then disappear, somewhere in 2014, never to be heard of again. And same with ICOs. There's something similar with that, this sort of like low effort template kind of like it's based on the principle of, I guess, like as soon as somebody discovers a basic mechanism for making money fast, like cryptocurrency people can't resist it. And this is a cycle that seems to be repeating. And I'd felt maybe after the fall of FTX and Celsius and so on, that perhaps a little bit of lesson had been learned. But now I'm more and more convinced that, people in crypto just don't learn any lessons. And I think it's gotten worse in the sense that meme coins they're so low quality, so fly by night, so lazy, and it's married to the Twitter algorithm now and the influencer culture. So it's even more like an accelerated, trashy, like pointless enterprise. So it also seems to be mixed up with a hustle culture, short-termist, financial nihilistic perspective. So when people say it brings people into crypto, I'm like, what are you bringing them to? Like just like a complete trashy, like total like wasteland is the only thing that you're going to be to at that point. So I think it's associated with the lack of innovation in the last few years. So in the 2021, the DAO, DeFi, NFTs, they were created during the sort of the crypto winter after ICO. We haven't had anything new to really capture the imagination. And so I think people have a little bit. I think it's going backwards. And more broadly, it's that idea of, the relationship to, let's say like Ethereum culture, which is something I'm interested in. It's this paradox of permission, which is anyone can use Ethereum, right? Which is great. That's sort of the, one of the principles. It also means literally anyone can use Ethereum. Well, so you get like all the chaotic kind of like bad stuff as well. So I do think it's a problem. I think it's undermining Ethereum's reputation. So if Ethereum's reputation is something like a shared commons that we're all responsible for, I see these as irresponsible actors who are undermining any of the positive stuff that Ethereum might accomplish.
It's fascinating. Yeah, I think I largely agree with that. Bennett, what do you think about this whole meme coins craze? Can you pull anything positive from it at all, or is it just solely destructive?
A few weeks ago, I actually wrote a newsletter for my newsletter at Protos, The Context, about Pepe. And I had a line in it that I thought was going to be clearly read as irony, but some people apparently missed it, that said, Pepe, yes, like all cryptocurrencies, is intended as a lesson in the fundamental value of censorship resistance and resilient anti-state technology focused on creating the tools to empower the disempowered. And I included this because those are the types of things that make cryptocurrency interesting to me. Censorship-resistant transfers of value, which were really pioneered with Bitcoin, and then the Ethereum smart contract ecosystem created the possibility of that type of censorship resistance to be extended to a much wider variety of different financial tools. Pepe clearly is not actually focused on those things. And so, like, when I look at things like Pepe, or broadly things that purport to be in the cryptocurrency ecosystem but are willing to sacrifice censorship resistance, or willing to sacrifice resiliency, are generally things that I think are counterproductive to building useful crypto projects. And like Paul talked about how some people will make the argument that this brings people into crypto. But I think if that's true, if things like Pepe are many people's initial introduction to cryptocurrency, you're really leading the lambs to slaughter. There is no fundamental value accrual mechanism for these coins. There is really no substantive reason for these things to be valuable, except that for now, a portion of people have decided it's valuable. And so bringing in people where their first exposure is going to be this product, where they are almost certainly going to lose money, means these new people you're coming into crypto are going to very quickly have a negative opinion of cryptocurrency.
Oh, but what about the people that become billionaires?
Well, they'll like
but
it.
All the billionaires. Yeah. I guess, I'll say, just trying to play the devil's advocate on behalf of meme coins. I suppose the other argument that I've heard is, say one of these coins in the end will become the people's coin. Like right now it's potentially Doge, and it would maybe be the coin that is just easily transferable, and used kind of like the Lightning Network is now like being for Bitcoin, but that this would be the people's coin. They chose it. And yes, it was a joke, but now everybody uses it. So that, I suppose, is one of the arguments that I've heard in favor that one of these meme coins will win and become the people's coin.
Yeah, you move through Doge, Shiba, all the rest of them, and just keep going down the list.
I'm not saying I believe that argument.
No, but you're definitely the guy on this show that presents the devil's advocate, and I think it's important because then there's just so many people out there who use that argument. So I think we have to sort of get it out there and at least face it and argue it. I guess there's just so many people out there who say the important thing is bringing interest, energy, capital into the crypto space, and it'll figure its way out. But I don't buy it.
Hey everyone, Alex here. We're having a great conversation, but we decided to split this conversation into two parts. Therefore, stick with us. I hope you're enjoying this one, but stick with us for 2 weeks' time. There'll be part 2 with Polarpunklabs and Bennett Tomlin. Cheers, everyone.